On his debut, Emilia-Romagna wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Dobbin around the outside operated line. Shadow is contact again. Ronha is around.
Beverly, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, and welcome. WOR is back, and there we go. There is your lineup, Xbox lineup on the screen right now for the season. There are a few changes in there for tonight. However, before we get any further, we finally...
Based in the magnificent Ardennes countryside, Spa hosted its first Grand Prix back in 1925. This historic track is loved by drivers
a little miss
and
last
fans
week.
alike.
However, you're back
So it's
for the remainder of the season.
to the Belgian Grand Prix.
Obviously, not knowing too much
Spa-Francorchamps
about
then,
what
a
went on,
historic
but this is gonna be a big
19-corner
one here
circuit
tonight. We
with a
were
lap
together at
distance of
Imola last season,
4.35 miles.
if
There's
my
over
memory
100
serves
metres
me
of elevation
correctly,
change here,
it was a
and with
really,
long
really
stretches of the
good
lap
race.
spent flat out.
Yeah,
the top
absolutely.
speed will be
It's a
vital
pleasure
to
to be
success.
back and back commentating again. Been a very long time since I've been able to do this. I think before Christmas. So yeah, really great to be back. And well, we've got some rain at an amazing track here. So you know we are going to have an absolutely brilliant race. And yes, may have ever so slightly missed the first race, but you know who didn't? You know who absolutely turned up? It was Shadow, wasn't it?
Yeah, Shadow doing what he... I'm pretty well, finishing off where he left off last season. You know, he doesn't have Ronha to really hound him this season. Ronha did fall away a little bit, but still managed to have that extra pace at the end, just enough to grab it. But Shadow was phenomenal and picking the bones off Ronha whenever he could. But we've got a couple of drivers this season who really started to step up. You know, we've had one race, and you know, Alfie, in my mind, really stepped up, and Dark Killer, 2 drivers very much that we saw a lot last year, or last year and last season, stepped up this season, and I think they're my 2 to watch for Shadow.
Yeah, definitely. I think the key thing for them is because they were great last season, and you know they deserved and got some absolutely exceptional performances. But they really do just need the consistency that Shadow has. Maybe even Shadow could go a couple of races without winning, but you know he's probably going to come 2nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere in that region. Whereas, let's say Dark has an off day, he ends up P7, P8, and then, you know, it all just happens so easily like that. So I think really, as ever, the key to the championship is going to be consistency, but you're also going to need that raw pace to go with it.
Certainly. You know, you've got to have a mixture of everything, and I think Shadow had that, had that last week. Even under pressure with having to change strategy, he was the man to watch. Now, we are on board with Alfie as he struggles through this final little sector here, and turn 18 is going to be huge for the race, because if you get that right and you're behind someone, you're going to overtake, but obviously in the wet, it's a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, everything is ever so slightly harder in the wet, so this will be really interesting. We could see, as the session progresses, if the rain does lighten up ever so slightly even, we're going to see basically the times tumbling all throughout the session. And to be honest, such as how little practice a lot of these drivers would have actually had in the wet, the times are going to fall anyway. So this is really going to come down to the last lap.
Certainly is, and Shadow not so strong in the wet. He's 2 seconds off Alfie, and Clenzo's a second, but Harvey takes provisional pole. What a lap time from Harvey. I know it's only a tenth or half a tenth away in front of Alfie, but were we really expecting that from a guy that was in Tier 2? Obviously, he's in the Challengers this year, but you know, away from someone like Alfie, sorry.
Well, it's a situation with the Ferrari drivers at the moment. They're doing a great job. There's no more Ferrari curse or anything along those lines. Seems to be doing really well at the moment. And yeah, I think this is definitely a good opportunity if they have any pace similar to this to pick up some great points. Because at the moment, already, bit of a tail wag from Harvey on the exit the corner there. But you look, first and third already going great. And 3 drivers within a tenth of each other. But there's still another 12 minutes to go, and a lot more laps could come in. And there we go, Alfie setting a brilliant lap, putting himself just about half a second clear of the field. Is this going to be his day today to potentially take the championship lead?
Alfie's going to give as good as he got. He gave Shadow a real run for his money, but I am staying on board with Viper at the moment. Before I ask you another question about setting multiple laps, but Viper managing to, you know, do turn 18 pretty strongly and pretty well, but it's only up to P6 for him at the moment. Burap's going up to P2. But do you feel a lot of these drivers, and I'm looking at Shadow, are going to use this second lap to really put a better time on the board? I mean, Shadow hasn't been able to, but the likes of Alfie, Burraps and Harvey are all, well, maybe not Harvey. Harvey hasn't actually improved his lap time. But they've improved their second lap over their first. And finally, another driver from last week that produced pretty well in the Alpine is already half a second up on his time in Sector 2. What can he do in Sector 3?
Well, yeah, that's a great question there, but it is a situation where you just got to try to pump in as many laps as possible in the rain, because you may think you've reached a limit one lap, and then next lap you find another 2 tenths somewhere, and it just happens like that. You just get more used to it, you can progress more. And Shadow is 8 tenths up, just going through the second sector here. Shadow, purple Sector 2, he was 2 tenths up in Sector 1, so Shadow could be about to go onto provisional pole and take it away from Alfie, but it is all going to rely on this final corner. He needs a good exit. Took a little bit of curb, a little bit wide, but just about keeping it within track limits. And now it's just the run up to the line. Shadow, here he goes, and he's P2 by just 2 tenths of a second. So that's a pretty healthy lead by Alfie at this point. And Viper as well, great lap.
I was going to say Viper, incredible. Pretty much exactly the same numbers of Alfie, but just a little bit mixed up there. Here comes WR Connor then into Sector 3, but he pulls away and allows someone through, so his lap time is not going to be any better. Who else can we possibly go on board with? Is PSR Moritz into a lap, crosses the line, does it go in? He does go quicker, but not enough to displace his teammate Harvey, who's just got a little bit in front of him, but so much of this so close. Placky throwing himself into P4. WR Wilson then rounding the final corner, turn 18, the final real corner in my eyes, but he slips a little bit on the curb across the line for WR Wilson, and it's P5, and these times, like you rightly said, are starting to tumble.
Yeah, it is at the moment. I don't know if the sky is just looking a little bit brighter or if that's just me, but it's definitely a little bit. Viper's just set a purple Sector 2 here, so I think Viper could be up for a brilliant lap, as is Alfie, as he gets his P1. It just extends that lead even further, over half a second now. So Viper's going to need a great final couple of corners here to try and claw back those missing 3 tenths that he's got with that 2 tenth advantage in the middle of sector. That is really scruffy. On the exit, he comes into the pit lane, so evidently not going to improve too much, or thinking with the time limit and fuel, it's probably the better option. Can't see anywhere else really improving too much. Findy Young's about a tenth up through this first sector, so we'll have to see what he can do at the second sector split. Alfie's a second down, so he'll be coming in this lap, I imagine. Clenzo's just improved up into P3, actually, so he's done an absolutely great job there. Findy Young a quarter of a second up. He could be set to go P2 here.
Let's see what the Alpine driver can do. He's had, like I said earlier, he'd had a pretty good round 1. What can he do in round 2? His qualifying is going to show a lot for that. I agree in the chat that Viper is a massive massive merchant when it comes into the wet. He knows what he's doing, and Finderjum throws himself into P2, but Alfie still has that half a second lead in front of anyone else.
Mega. Yes, absolutely mega at this point in the session to have that big a lead. It just looks like no one can quite get close to it. And Viper, you know, he's going to be back out. He's going to set up a great lap, but it's going to be really hard to compete with that.
Yeah, Alfie. We saw at the beginning of last season how good Alfie was, and then he just, I don't want to say plateaued, but he didn't, you know, while others got better, he stayed the same. And then we saw something different towards the end. So let's see if he can hold it throughout the whole season, because he can really challenge Shadow this season for the title, I think. And if he works well, you know, Alfie could take a title. Away from the title, his first ever WOR win.
Yes. Yeah, it's a crazy stat, that. But yeah, look, he's absolutely got the potential for it, and I can't see it not happening this season. So I think it's only a matter of time, not wanting to put too much of a jinx on it. But you never know. Judged by the form at the moment, if we have a wet race, he could be well in there.
Now, we have just lost Bobberts as Mel has just gone well over the curb there, and not what you would have wanted at all. Now, I will just call it, just so you all aware, I get messed up with Mel's name pretty easy. So it's as easy as you like for some people, but there's always one word that messes you up, and that is one of them for me. He is diving into the pits, so he's not going to do any further. WR Matthew then, at the other Haas, his teammate setting the world alight at the moment by half a second. What can he do? Currently down in 17th place.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one to see as I frantically scroll down to him. So yeah, he's just starting his lap, isn't he? So he's giving it a good go. He's about 4 attempts up in the first sector, so already set to put himself just around where Connor is, and that is in the first sector alone. So this could be a very decent lap from the Haas driver. We'll have to see how, of course, the rest of the lap unfolds. Got to get the braking points absolutely perfect, especially in the wet, because if you run wide, there is not a lot of grip out there one bit, and the track limits here are not forgiving at all.
Not at all, and especially at that sector, that's 11, 12, 13, that can really cost you. So can Verante Alta as well, which is what WR Matthews just gone through.
And so close on the exit.
so close, and he's done it. It's well. You need to take it to the limits, and Matthews doing that at the moment. What can he do? Finally coming down into 17, 18. This is, you've got to get right. This is where Lando Norris in F1 last season, you know, lost out on his pole time because of it. But Matthew across the line, can he go much higher? It's P10. That's a respectable time from him.
Yeah, not a bad lap at all. Up into P10, ahead of the likes of Placky, Agonised, Buraption. No, not too bad at all there. And yeah, he'll definitely improve as well as the session goes on. Shadow, what's he up to? He's a quarter of a second up through Sector 1 now. Really ringing the car on the exit of the corner there. Just about keeping the traction. Braking on the curb, already chucking. Oh, it looked like a bit of a mistake there, but I think that was lag in the end. And he's, I think, gone purple Sector 2 as well. So Shadow could be on for an absolutely brilliant lap time here. Could he contend with Alfie? It is just a couple of corners to go. Let's just say we're not counting what is officially the final corner, are we? Because it's more of a rightwards kink.
Definitely a kink, that 19. So, but it is only P2, agonisingly close to 1,000. Viper is up as well by 0.4 of a second, coming through the kink on the right here. Viper is P3. Wow. He must have lost a bit of time through that last sector because he was up 4.5 tenths. But interestingly, Shadow did that time on his old wet tyres.
Yeah, 7 laps on those. That's a decent run for Shadow, absolutely. I can't get over how close that is. Absolutely brilliant job from Shadow, but Alfie's still able to hold out, and he's going to have, well, as is Shadow, a couple more laps to try to reclaim that half a second. I think by the end of the session, he probably won't manage that, but if he does, that'd be incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I'm just seeing who else could set a little bit of a time here. Oaks is invalidated. Got to go fast. Where is he on the track? He's just behind, and he's going a little bit slow through 17 and 18. So
Dark really struggling with understeer on his. He's invalidated his lap and I'm really struggling with understeer as well. He could be in trouble in this qualifying.
Got to go fast is down there. But yeah, Maybe the wet isn't for Dark Killer, so that's a problem there. Let's see what Colenso can do. Whereabouts he is. He's invalidated.
Oh, he's invalidated, yeah. So many invalidated laps. It's a really tricky one to get right in the wet.
Well, it's difficult to get right in the dry, let alone the wet.
Yeah.
Moritz then in the Ferrari, P8 at the moment. That curse from last season, like you said quite rightly, has gone, and both of them doing really well. Harvey up into P4 now. Not sure when he managed to sneak that time in, but he's doing a phenomenal job in that. Currently lead Ferrari. Moritz going wide through there into that kink of the right. He didn't hug the the inside of that right. Is that a different strategy that he's going to play through the race, do you think?
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. It really does depend what circumstance you're in. If you haven't got anyone behind you, I think we'll have to wait and see on that one. But Alfie, I think, is about to improve. He's about half a tenth up through Sector 2. He's made a little bit of a mistake coming into the final 2 corners. But let's see if it is enough still. Alfie, as he crosses the line, he does not improve. He lost a lot of time there, but he might be setting up for another lap. It appears he has. So let's see, again, if Alfie can extend his lead. Anyone else massively improving? It doesn't appear at the moment. Matthew's the second down. Viper's half a tenth up, so it'll be interesting to see if he can just bump himself ahead of Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew threw himself into a massive position there, putting P3 from the 25, low 24s into the high 24s there, and Darkman's thrown on a set of intermediates. Is it time? I mean, do you think some of these drivers are using dry setups? Is this why they're struggling a bit?
Well, I'd imagine that's definitely, if it's forecast to be even a half-dry race, I imagine there's definitely quite a few drivers out there who are running dry. Yeah, that's an interesting call, because it does look a little bit too wet still. The rain's still really heavy. Oh, Viper messing up turn 1. He just got his right tyre right front into the grass a little bit. Oh, and there's a big drift all the way through the corner. This is not neat at all for Viper, and he'll be a little bit frustrated with this, I imagine. Let's see what Sector 1 split's like, but I can't imagine it being great, and the lap's invalid as well. That was, he was really ringing the car out there, and fortunately it's still pointing the right way.
Yeah, that was fortunate for Viper. I went on board with Placky because he's up on his time by 3/10, I think. It's probably not enough to make him too many places, but maybe enough to displace his teammate in 11th place, and I know a lot of drivers will want that 11th place. Not so much in these circumstances, but if it is a wet start, they still might.
Yeah, I'm tempted to ride on board with Dark here. I'm just going to keep an eye on what how it looks like that car's handling. Well, he's validated his outlap, but I think that's more of a given at this track. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him to see what's going on there.
Harvey is improving on his. He's 3/10 quicker on his second sector time. Here he comes then. He's, apparently he's purple in Sector 2. So that is interesting enough there for Harvey, coming through into 16 and 17. 16 is another just kink, isn't it? More to the right. But he's following his teammate quite closely, who's going to set a lap time just ahead of him, who has displaced him from that top 5 for the time being. Connor manages to put himself 6, but what can Harvey do? Can he get himself higher up? It's P4 again for Harvey. Very, very close to Alfie, who's not been able to improve his lap time so far.
No, it's an interesting one, absolutely, because Shadow... Well, actually, Shadow can get... Yeah, he's going to get his lap started, absolutely. So Shadow is going to be one of the last cars across the line. And is it going to be enough? Oh, Dark is absolutely not on it at the moment. It doesn't look like those intermediates might not be working. I will wait to see the end of Sector 1 and then, head over to everyone else.
So Alfie then, he's not going to get another lap time in after this. He is going to...
Ooh.
He's improved by a little bit. It's into the 23s.
Only half a tenth, though.
Is it enough to displace any further attack? There's a Red Bull coming across the line. That will be Oates in 16th and maybe Choco. I don't know which one it was. Sorry, it was Wilson. But I am on board with Finder Yum as he finishes his lap time. What can he do? Into P5 for him. So not a bad little session.
It's not happening, Dark.
Oh, no.
Intermediate strategy not working. He was giving it a go, but yeah, just doesn't seem to have the front end on the entry to the corner. So this is going to be a bad qualifying for Dark, and he was a driver who very much could have put in a bit of a contention in the race, but it's not happening today. But Shadow, this is the one to watch now. He's only got to improve by half a tenth. He's got Connor on his left-hand side, just getting out the way as they come into the final 2 corners.
Yeah, let's see what Shadow can do. And obviously the protagonist last season, he's leading the way at the moment. And it looks like a little bit caught.
Oh,
he goes into the pits.
That's it. That is his session over. Is Connor improving? No, he's not. What about Mel? Let's see. About half a second down. It doesn't. Yeah, I don't think this could be too much of improvement as they dart into the pit lane.
That was a really... I didn't even realise it was towards the end of qualifying. These guys just kept on pumping out lap times, didn't they? They made this qualifying session really, really quick. So fair play to them indeed. And Alfie, pole position. There's no points for pole, but it must be a little bit of a confidence boost for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is going to be a brilliant race between... Well, actually, I'd say between probably the top sort of 5. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Definitely Alfie and Shadow right out at the front. We just can't escape these sort of battles, can we? We always have some good fighting at the front and only half a tenth separating the top 2.
This has been incredible so far, and you wonder where Alfie has got that extra pace from, but it is only just from second place man Shadow, and look at that. Incredible from those two. And in third place is Viper. Don't usually see him this high up, but we did see a surprise attack from him here last season as well. Harvey then, new to tier 1, in 4th place. In 5th place is Findy with WR Matthew in 6th. 7th going to WR Wilson. 8th to PSR Moritz. And Connor in 9th with Chandler in 10th place there. Let's go down the order a little bit. Clenzo's in 11th with Placky in 12th. 13th is Choco with 14th going to Buraps. WR Agonised in 15th place with Mel in 16th. 17th is Zotes. I'm saying that wrong as well. 18th is Got to Go Fast.
Every time with that.
Bobbers and Dark Killer in 20th. With Dark Killer unable to displace Bobberts as 19th place there, and Bobberts was barely in the session.
Yeah, absolutely. This is pretty exciting for this. So we'll have to see what the conditions are like here, and it is pretty sunny as well. So it's been interesting.
So definitely no. Well, at the moment, no wet tyres for people to go on. So
wet start would be ambitious.
Everyone goes fresh tyres, and I wonder what this does to people, because there's going to be some of them starting on the mediums. I wonder if all of them will start on the mediums.
Potentially, yeah. Maybe 1 or 2 are going to try to do some form of alternate strategy, but yeah, you want to be on the mediums to start. That always the best race tyre.
Yeah, and at the moment, Finder Shadow switching around with those tyres. We've noticed in the past, though, Shadow overheats his tyres a little bit, especially at the start of a race, and it means that he drops down a few places, and it makes extra work for him. It's a bit weird, that one.
Yeah.
Realise I need to add the WR overlay at the bottom there. So apologies, you had the whole of qualifying without it, but you have got it back now.
Right. Yes, that's okay. It'll be an interesting one for sure. Because just keeping an eye on everyone's tyres. It does seem like Shadow at the moment is going for those softs. It doesn't look like he's flipped on that one yet.
Right then, I guess we'll get ourselves ready for this. We are about...
Based in the magnificent art...
Oh no. It's changed on it. Let's do that again. We are about to get underway for the race here at WOR. The second round is a track that is surrounded by history. It is the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 2 new WR Tier 1 winners last year with Michael Romanides, got that wrong, and on the PC victory, while Critchley taking an amazing victory here on the Xbox side. With 9 corners to the right and 10 to the left, this 19th corner, 3-mile long circuit is home to one of the only anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. Turn 2 is going to be a main overtaking opportunity, but a few highlights from season 11, and what a dramatic end to the Xbox Tier 2 League here, and PSR Boots having a massive moment, catching contact and massively losing out on what could have been a victory in that side, the PC side. And we see Antoine and Morris, the McLaren and Ferrari coming together, definitely like old times through the Villeneuve Ferrante there, and the Ferrari moving out massively. And that is not what you would have wanted at all. We are back into the formation, well, it wouldn't be a formation lap without me saying, I mean, who do you think's going to take this victory here?
Oh, you're gonna hit me with a rough one. Oh wow, this is okay. So I'm gonna say it's I'm gonna go with a safe guess, someone in the top 5. I don't know. I think I'm gonna lean Alfie here. You know, I reckon it's gonna be his day today. He did so well in the early stages of quali, able to just about edge that pole lap. All he's got to do now, yeah, it's a pretty easy task. Is just keep Shadow behind him for another 32 laps.
So only 3 drivers have gone for the softs, and I just looked at that and I thought, wow, that's going to be mental. Maybe we're going to see a crazy last the first challenge from Dark Killer, but you know it's no easy feat, like you say. Shadow, Alfie having to keep Shadow behind him, but you could see. You know what? I'm going to go with a first tier 1 victory for Harvey, down in 4th place.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Now, we are just about to go underway, and here at Imola, and one of the most historic. It's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. I was heartbroken when it went off the calendar, but I'm glad it's back. We're waiting for the final Williams just to fit into place. That is Dark Killers down in 20th place, but we are waiting for the lights here. 4, 5 LED lights, and away we go. And it looks like a pretty poor start from the Ferrari of Harvey. He's already been caught by finding Viper is trying to get a move done on Shadow into the corner, but Shadow's now attacking the Haas. But Viper is into. Oh, he's had to do a Hamilton and take the off-road. Finding into 3rd. Viper down to 5th. And there's contact behind. What's happened back there?
Yeah, Viper, he's just rejoined the track, and it was Matthew just trying to... Oh, and there's more contact for Matthew, and he's off in the gravel. Contact with Moritz after contact with Viper. That is a horrific start for the Haas driver, which is such a shame, because the first corner went oh so well. Unfortunately, every single one past that could not have gone much worse.
Placky up into 8th, 4 places up, and this is one huge Haas sandwich with WR Alfie leading the way, and now Matthew down in last place. Colenso in 10th, overtaking Choco as well. And this, side-by-side stuff through places where they shouldn't. There are 2 Alpha Tauris there getting very, very close. And I think, is that Agonize pulling wide?
Yeah, there was a big bit of contact there. I think someone broke a little bit early into the corner, or someone broke a little bit late, and it just caused a little bit of a Constantina effect. And I'm pretty sure Dark has some wing damage, and I think 1 or 2 other... Yeah, Dark absolutely does. His front right end plate completely gone off the car there. Alfie sets fast lap of the race as he does have the lead as we start lap 2. But there we go, coming into the pit lane. We do have Dark, Chandler as well, unfortunately, and Mel. So I guess all of them involved in that incident at the start. That's a real shame. And Agonize coming in as well. That was that could not have gone much worse for them.
4 drivers into the pits then. But
yeah.
Safety cars are possible.
And the Aston's having to double stack as well. Oh, no.
Oh, that is not what we would have wanted for the Astons at all. But maybe they've got the curse of the Ferraris from last year. Blackie then all over the back of Moritz. He's having a great start on those softs. He's making them work exactly where he needs to. Findy, unable to get anywhere close to Shadow. The front 2 are starting to check out a little bit. But Shadow's got a lot of work on his hands because he doesn't really have an answer to Alfie at the moment. And that is not what you... If you're a Shadow fan, that's not what you want to hear.
No, and he is having to use a lot of his ERS here because he knows the most important thing is that he can stay within a second, which he is currently not. So... Shadow, he absolutely needs this here. He has used all of his allocated ERS for the lap, and it's not good enough at the moment. He has got to close in as DRS is now enabled for Shadow. It's not looking great. He's going to need a mistake here or one hell of a lap.
And Placky dispatches the Ferrari with relative ease, and Shadow's losing ground. This is not what he would have once. Findy is going to be well, a sitting duck unless... Well, I think Alfie's made a mistake because Shadow is all of a sudden right behind him, and that is a godsend.
Moritz has had a little bit of a spin as well, and I think he's absolutely picked up wing damage. Nothing remaining of that Ferrari front end. That is a real shame. He was running really well, and the Ferrari curse has indeed returned. I don't think we're going to get anyone in these cars by the end of the year. But yeah, Moritz will have to come into the pits, and yeah, that is going to be him right near the back end.
Yeah, and well, Alfie, that mistake that he's done, it's not affected him too much because now he's building that time up again. Alfie's put something into his car today. Maybe they need to do some sort of checks on that Haas, but he's pulling away again, 9/10 of a second at the moment. But Shadow will get a DRS, and that is what could very well save him from losing too much ground to Alfie.
Look how much time he gains with the DRS. That's the thing here. I think if Shadow lost DRS, he has no chance, but he has gained just about 4/10, well over 4/10. On the straight. He's gone a little bit deep into the first corner. I don't think he was quite anticipating how much speed he was heading in there with. But yeah, there we go. I think at this point now, if he can just coast around about a second behind using the DRS, try and undercut, and then if he can somehow keep Alfie behind, that seems to be his best course of action at the moment.
Viper is having major problems. He's lost the position. He's lost another position. I don't know if there is front left end plate damage to that Alpha. So another one.
So that's someone maybe going for a move, or was he maybe collided with the back of someone in front?
Oh no, the end plate's there now. That's weird. I'm not sure what's happened to the Alpha then. Disappearing issues.
Dark's out the race as well. He's retired in the pit lane, so that's the end of Dark's race. It wasn't great from qualifying, and yeah, it never really improved, did it?
No, it's such a shame for Dark Killer, and that's not what he would have wanted when he's trying to, an esports challenger who's trying to get himself really attached and attacking on WOR, but it's just not to be this time round. Harvey then being passed by Finder Yum, and now Finder Yum is catching Shadow ahead.
Yeah, at the moment this is an interesting one. It is shaping up now to become a bit more of a battle, because if Shadow and Alfie do fight at any point, Finder Yum with that DRS is absolutely there, and he is just dragging Harvey along with him at the moment. And if Placky can keep the pace in those soft tyres, he could well be within that 1 second margin as well in just a few laps, but he won't be there for too long. Those soft tyres not going to last a massively long period today. So, yeah, very much medium hard. So it'll be interesting. I assume Placky's going to go for the soft hard, I'd imagine, just pitting a couple of laps earlier.
I think that's his plan, but he's dropping a little bit to Harvey. He's not really got an answer, and I wonder if he's had an issue with Viper. Maybe those two had the collision, which cost Viper his maybe a momentum.
Yeah, Viper's still losing time, so it's a weird one, this. Because it appears he does have damage, but he visibly doesn't. So maybe it's just very light wing damage, because look at this, Buraps. He's going to try to shape up the move at some point. I imagine with DRS down the main straight, he is going to get the move done down into turn 1, or even if he needs that long, quite frankly. He's right on the back of that Alfa Romeo Viper, already going defensive, veering over to the left-hand side, trying to break the slipstream, but it's just not going to be enough. That McLaren absolutely breezes past, and that is P8 for Buraps. I'm sure that's probably going to be his easiest move to date.
Choco retires for the session. He picks up
this is safety car. No, it's in the pits.
So I'm not sure what happened to Choco there. That's not what he would have wanted. Shadow getting very close to the back end of Alfie, so that DRS really, really saving the Red Bull driver a lot of hassle, and Alfie must be kicking himself at the moment. Let's go on board with that battle at the lead, because Shadow managing to hold with him a lot closer through this lap, through the tight, twisty turns 11, 12 and 13, which is usually where he loses time.
Yeah, absolutely. He just lost about a tenth there. So, yeah, just went a little bit more deep into the corner. Alfie was front end, not quite looking as hooked up, but it absolutely was through the chicane. So here we go. We will go again in just a moment's time. We've got the detection point coming up under the braking zone. You have a slight jerk to the right-hand side, coming on the brakes. DRS. And here we go. He's going to have it well within that second. And Shadow probably going to close to around a quarter of a second, 3 tenths by the end of this straight. And that is exactly what he needs, because this is a chance to recharge those batteries. He was absolutely he was draining them at the start of this race, just trying to keep within that 1 second margin. If it wasn't for that mistake with Alfie, as Placky losing 2 places, and that is the strength of the DRS here. Despite the fact his pace was all right, Clenzo and Wilson both breezing past. And that's it, that's what we're going to have to put up with today, and it's all going to come down to the last couple of laps. It's a bit of a game of chess. You're going to try to set everything up for the last lap or two.
I think those softs are going on that McLaren as well. I think that's his major problem. Clenzo is quite close to the back of Wilson. I wonder if there's anything going to happen in for those two. I don't know why Choco gave up. They're agonised retiring from the session in the pit lane as well. There's a few drivers throwing in the towel early.
Yeah, it's a weird one because the safety car can come out at any point, and you've just, especially with the DRS here, you can make moves. Yes, the DRS train can be quite strong, but it's so easy to make a mistake. That is weird that so many drivers are deciding to call it a day this early on because, anything can happen, but oh well, there's still 17 circulating, and massive respect to Chandler, the leading driver of the pitted one so far on those soft tyres. He's going to have to come back in not too long, only about another 10 laps time.
Here comes Clenzo then up the inside of the Mercedes. Position gained for the AlphaTauri driver, and there's a car in the wall there. That must be agonised car just retiring there.
Yeah.
But Clenzo up into P5, but 3 seconds away from the leading battle. And now Findium is outside of the DRS detection zone from Shadow. So will Harvey make an attack on Findium? He's got to.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. It's he's just got to stay within around a 6/10 margin, which is what he's got to make. He can't afford to lose too much more time, otherwise it's just not going to happen. He's got about 20% more ERS to play with than Findium, so maybe that could come into his advantage, but I think he's just a 10th or 2 too far back at the moment, and Findium desperately trying to claw back an extra 10th to get that DRS, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen at the moment. So this is a good chance for Harvey. Well, I don't think Shadow's actually going to go for the move, even if he has a chance at the moment. He is more than happy where he is.
Well, he did it in the end. He managed to get within that detection zone, and that's going to save him a little bit. Not sure how Findium managed to find 4/10 there, but he's done it. And now he's dropping away, and Shadow looking very close to the back of that Haas, yes, again. But he's holding off at the moment. And I wonder if this is a little bit of games from Shadow, or if it's he realises he just doesn't have the overall pace, as there's Matthew retiring from the session as well. That's another one.
Matthew coming in. Was his... Yeah, another one in the pit lane coming in and retiring. That is a... Yeah, that's an odd one. I don't know. How many more of these are we going to see? That's the thing. I'd imagine now everyone who's sticking with it is going to. But yeah, that's a shame to see so many drivers dropping out. But yeah, oh well. We've now got 16 circulating still on the track. But yeah, no chance of safety car from any of those, thankfully. So it's not going to have a massive impact on the race. Only their own. Only taking away their chance of points. So. Oh well, we move. Shadow is still right on the back of Alfie. He's a little bit closer this time out, actually. He's about a 10th and a half closer, and maybe, if he does want to give it a go, this is going to be his best chance for a few laps. Question is, does he want to give it a go?
He lost a few out of there, but then he's gaining, obviously, that DRS is huge. You'd always want to take lead of the race, wouldn't you? So, does he get there? Does he... He closes his DRS way before, so he is playing some sort of game with the Haas, and the problem with that though, he's bringing Findium and Harvey closer to it. They are pulling away from 5th place man Clenzo though. That gap is now up to 4 seconds, and that battle for P5 is growing as well, with Viper still stuck at the back of it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Clenzo, he's got 3.8 in front of him, and a train of about 5 cars behind him. So he's going to, he's going to be struggling for quite a while. He has got a lot of battles ahead of him in this race, unless he can break that DRS to Wilson. Yeah, I think for Clenzo here, this is definitely going to be a watch your mirrors race rather than eyes forward. But you never know. If he can maybe pull off a bit of an undercut, get that gap down to 2 seconds, he could well pull up to Harvey at some point in this race and join this pack. But yeah, I don't think he'd be too optimistic of it right now, but like I say, we'll have to go and see. Shadow, 6/10, a little bit further back, and Yeah, I don't know. I think for Shadow here, the situation is you just want to be in the lead going into turn 1 on the last lap. That's all you want. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shadow's more than happy. Look, he's giving me a little weave down the straight, just trying to scrub off a little bit of speed, then closing his DRS early. He is playing the long game here. So the question is, when is he going to pounce? Because Alfie, if this keeps going on, is not going to expect it potentially.
And we did see last week Alfie try something different, going on to the harder compound tyre under a safety car. So that is something that Shadow's probably going to have in his mind as well. It took him a little while to catch back up with Alfie. Alfie's overall pace, even on the harder compound tyre, was pretty good. Placky then sticking it out for now on those softs. Fair play to him. I wonder if he's going to try and push to soft medium, but that would be pushing a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not impossible by any means, but it's it's a brave one because you're spending most of the race on tyres that simply you're going to be struggling. That's the main thing for the most part of your whole race. You're going to be struggling pretty bad on those tyres. I'm surprised he is keeping Buraps behind him for now. I don't know if there's any like team orders going on there, but Buraps is definitely not going to be able to get past Wilson with a car in between. And it does look to be, at the moment, Buraps is one who's able to push a little bit further forward. But there we go. Placky dives into the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see what tyres he does go on to, because at this point, you could sort of take either of them.
Yeah, Shadow gets very close again to Alfie. Alfie was trying. He pushed massively on that lap to get away from Shadow, but it just wasn't enough. And that DRS obviously helping massively. Mediums for Placky then. From a McLaren driver throwing on a set of mediums. 20 laps on them. They're going to be a little bit tired at the end. But
I think he's if he was a couple of laps earlier, then he'd be struggling a bit more. But yeah, no, he's just there you go. He's come in, he's going to come out, and it'll be interesting as well what the majority of field go on to here as well. This should be quite a fun one. But yeah, at the moment, Placky getting the benefit of the undercut should put him right up the front of that train that he was in, because the rest of the medium runners are going to be out there for a couple more laps.
Yes, and he's obviously he's going to be a bit quicker. And I think something that we've forgotten to think about ourselves is that these are fresh tyres at the beginning, so these guys obviously have those extra laps behind them. But Shadow again, nearly. I don't know what. Obviously, he's playing a little bit of a game, so it's a little bit of a war. Wouldn't you be worried? Not just to just not go off into the distance. Obviously, he's got the pace he can attack, but he's proving not to. Surely you want to build a gap unless he's thinking of a safety car.
Well, yeah, but as we saw in the early laps, is he actually faster than Alfie? That's the big bit. And there's a Red Bull, and who is that spun? I think it's got to go far. No, it's not. It's who was that? I think it was Oxtez having a bit of a moment there. No wing damage, and yeah, it was Oxtez, because he's now got a big gap to Viper ahead of him, so that was a big mistake. Oh, and got to go fast. Oh, I've jinxed it there. He's gone. Just coming into the pit lane now, Oxtez. That is I'm sorry, got to go fast. That's a real disappointment. The race wasn't going great for him anyway. He forced into an early stop, but yeah, that's and another retirement to the race. That's probably the most fair one we've had so far. As Mel right on the back of Moritz go down into turn 1, not going for the move in the end. But yeah, that's the thing, is Shadow actually quicker than Alfie? We saw in the early laps he was struggling to keep that pace. If it wasn't for that mistake from Alfie, you know, there's a good chance Alfie could have sort of run away with this, have a good 2-3 second gap somewhere in that window. But Shadow knows the DRS is so strong. If he gets in front of Alfie, they're just going to be swapping lap after lap after lap. So yeah, for Shadow here, I think this is a situation of he's happy to hold off, maybe go for the undercut a lap earlier than Alfie. But ultimately, this is just going to be who's going into the lead at turn 1 on the last lap of this race. So you just need to set yourself up in the best way possible. Both of them going to try to have 100% ERS and just give it their all.
And here it comes Placky. It should be a relatively easy move on Chandler. The Aston Martin driver down the start-finish straight, and there he is, gone. He's now got clear air until the Alpha of Bobbett's in 11th place, and that might help him just increase that little bit more gap over the guys he's fighting of Colenso, Wilson, perhaps his teammate, obviously, and Connor. Viper losing ground to that as well. He's now 2 seconds away from that battle for P5.
Yeah, that's the interesting bit. Is the question is, does he actually have that wing damage? Because he had decent pace at the start, but it's all just sort of fallen away here. He's getting a bit of understeer into the corners and locking the outside. So I do think, I do think he might. He lost quite a lot of time there. So that's a real shame for Viper because you know he could put in a brilliant performance today, but not quite worked out for him. But I think we'll see when he comes into pits a new front wing going onto that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. Lap 15 of 32 then here at Imola, and Alfie has led the way since the start. We've lost 5 drivers to early retirement, all to their own doing. Nothing massive as Mel picks up a 3-second time penalty down in 14th place. The Aston Martins are not enjoying this week at all. Shadow still all over the back of Alfie trying to get the lead. And I wonder if any of as soon as one of them pits, I wonder if...
Perhaps.
Ooh, penalty for Baraps as well. I wonder if Shadow pits, then Findyam and Harvey pit as well, or if they stay out that extra lap.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting call. I think if you're Findyam or Harvey in that situation, you do want to follow in because you're not going to get the overcut unless, let's say, Shadow or Alfie are caught out in traffic. So that's a bit of a trade-off there, but you're not going to have the time to react to find out if that's the situation. So, yeah, that would be an interesting one. I think realistically, you'd want to just follow, try to save in that 1 second window that Findyam has actually now fallen out of. So it's going to be a bit more challenging as Shadow almost pushing Alfie through the first chicane. He is, he does look to be stepping up a little bit here. He's got a lot more ERS to play with. And does he want to come into the pits ahead of Alfie? That's the big question here. What order do they want to come into the pit lane? And I think Shadow's going to try to dictate that.
Shadow definitely will. They'll look to push 12 laps on those softs if that's the way they're going now. So it's pit window is opening very, very soon. You know, we're on lap 16, so these guys will be looking now to push it. But somehow Findyam has managed to get that gap back in there.
Yeah, he's he keeps doing that, doesn't he? Just slightly falls out of DRS. You think, oh, that's it, he's gone, and then he just pulls out. Maybe using a little bit more ERS. Shadow dropping off a couple of tenths of dirty air and just general proximity. You get the Constantina effect and so on. So yeah, I don't know. Findyam did a great job though, and doing a phenomenal job to be P3 and holding it well at the moment. No real challenge from Harvey behind because he's holding on to that DRS.
He's holding on. Shadow again doesn't make a move. He's very, very capable of making that move, I think, into turn 1. But he's doing everything he can at the moment not to. Let's have a quick look at the DRS situation on this. And both of them, well, Alfie starting to use a little bit more of his ERS than Shadow. And Shadow's got himself back into the 90s. So that is what you want to see for a battle, because it would probably... You know, if the drivers were swapped position, that would hold it, wouldn't it? You know, Alfie would do exactly the same.
Well, the issue is though, it would, but Alfie does have enough to get down that main straight, and with the DRS, that he should be able to make the move again. So that's the issue. What Shadow needs is Alfie to get down to about 20%, 15%, where he's not going to be able to consistently use it and make that move back. And it's just a really frustrating game, but it's a long game that Shadow has to be playing. Maybe a little bit less exciting for us than them going side by side into turn 1, but that time is approaching, and there we go. There was Shadow using a little bit of ERS there. Is this it for Shadow? He's closing a lot. It absolutely is. He pulls out to the left-hand side of Alfie, and that is a very simple move. Breaking down into turn 1. Shadow, the new race leader, and I assume that means he's coming to the pit lane in not too long.
Yeah, he's starting to flex those muscles a little bit as a Red Bull driver. What can Alfie do in response? And I wonder if the Alpine and the Ferrari drivers behind can hold station with this. Because I know Findyam was struggling with the ERS usage. He was down to like 10%. So he could be in major trouble, especially if Shadow is starting to pull away. What can Shadow do in this situation? Because he's historically against Alfie slower in this area. So is it down to dirty air. I think it is because Shadow started to pull away.
It is. It's just so much harder to follow through those tight, tricky, technical parts of the track. It's oh god, that's too many T's. But yes, Alfie just losing a little bit of time. He needs to be within about that half-second window to even have a slim chance here. But Shadow's going to try to defend this with all his might. Oh, will we see him darting into the pit lane in just a moment? No, it's going to be a lap or two longer as you'd expect.
Harvey pits.
Yeah. Oh, so Harvey coming in. Harvey triggering the undercut here could well take the race lead. Clenzo pick up a 5-second time penalty. Oh no, he was having such a good race up until that point, but that's going to cost him easily 3 or 4 positions come the end of this race. That is absolutely devastating, as Alfie still following Shadow now as we head into set 2. Oh, my game has just frozen and crashed. The game's gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, so have I. Apologies, guys.
Hopefully that's just us.
We're getting back into the game as quickly as possible. But wow, what a positional situation we're in. I was wanted to go on board with Placky to see how much he had gained over those guys, but at the moment, we'll have to wait and see. Here it comes.
Anyone fancy inviting us?
Yeah, those in the
we
lobby.
might be able to join off Clenzo. Nope, I cannot join off Clenzo. That's phenomenal. Thank you, Matthew.
So let's get ourselves back into this as quickly as possible. WR Matthew with...
Oh, thank God. Okay, so the lobby has survived it. That's good. You always have that fear when both of us go that... yeah, lobby not going to enjoy that. Lobby is fine, though. The race still seems to be going on perfectly fine, so... Thankfully. Yeah, race is still going on. Yeah, that's all good.
So while I load myself in, what's the positional position?
We've got Shadow still leading at the moment, just about ahead of Alfie. Connor, oh god, coming into the pit lane. We've got Findy, Connor and Buraps. Buraps with his 3-second time penalty as well. I can't switch between... Okay, now I can. That was weird. For the first 30 seconds, though, I couldn't actually switch between drivers. But, okay, that's fine. Happy the lobby's still there. We've got, Alfie still in P2. You've just joined back in, so there we go. That's all good. And Harvey, after that pit stop, P4 and closing in.
So Harvey could very well be net lead of this race. He's pulling away from finding him. Obviously, he's going to have a lap extra on those tyres. However, he uses it right. He uses the ERS right. He is in with a massive chance here. Viper has stayed out. I wonder what sort of position he's going to be in. This, I mean, what a time. What an absolute time to have that incident. But WR Alfie, Shadow, battling away. 20 laps this has been going on for. Both of them pop into the pits. Let's start on to Harvey.
Harvey's closing a lot as well. He's closed 8/10 basically just through the middle sector. This is going to be pretty tight. Shadow and Alfie might just be okay, or side by side here. But I think for Viper here, Viper's staying out. Viper staying out for another lap and thinking, well, you know what, I'm going to run it slightly longer. Yeah, I'm going to lose track position, but I'm going to have those fresher tyres. And Harvey, he can see Alfie and Shadow right there. Sets the fastest lap of the race. Oh, how close is this going to be? He can see them on the right-hand side. They're going to be side by side as we come into the first corner. And Harvey has it. He takes the net race lead. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
What a lap that was. And it had to be that lap. And Harvey did an incredible job there. Then now, Shadow's going... Oh, look at that. Alfie tried an opportunist move on Shadow. Alfie does not like being anything lower than second, and he is attacking. And this is exactly what Harvey needs. A great job from Harvey with that lap, but what are we in for this final 11, 12 laps?
This is going to be absolutely brilliant stuff, but Viper might have played a really, really clever trick here. Because, look, he's going to be losing time. He's actually lost a lot of time there. It's only 6.5 seconds. Is that right? That can't be right.
I think Viper's playing something here. We'll have to wait and see at the end.
If he comes... Hang on. Yeah. What? That's, The gap should be bigger than that. I forgot how low Viper was. But... I forgot how low Viper was before all that. But Viper, he's going to have the fresher tyres at the end. He's going to be gaining easy. Oh, what's happening here? Harvey getting swamped by both Shadow and Alfie there. And yeah, they might actually end up closing on Viper if he's another lap or two out there. But yeah, he's going to have so much fresh tyres by the end of this race. He could easily overtake pretty much all of the people he's battling because they've come into the pits pretty early on.
Yeah, and Alfie desperate to try and throw it up the inside of Shadow as well. He's being, well, I say, aggressive. He's aggressive in his cornering compared to Shadow. Alfie he's not given up. This is still going on. So Harvey, there is obviously a little bit of a link between Harvey and Viper outside of WOR. So I wonder if there's a little bit of backhands going on, but we'll have to wait and see. They are desperately trying to pull away, though, from Finder Young, but Finder Young right up there with him. This four-way battle for the lead is going to be strong. Chandler sets the fastest lap down in P15, but they are now 2.2 seconds behind Viper. What kind of roadblock is he going to be? Does he pit? He does not.
Who doesn't? He lost 3.5 seconds that lap. Yeah. Is he hoping for a safety car or something?
I don't know, but Alfie trying up the inside and then in the outside, and I don't know if that was just to waste some time, slow himself down a little bit, but he's keeping up with Shadow at the moment, and a positional change, I believe, between Burraps and Connor for P8. So that's interesting. But Viper, he's going to hold these guys up, and look at that, he's held Shadow massively.
This is so weird that he's got absolutely no pace on those medium tyres at the moment. Just look how slow through the corners. This is crazy stuff for Viper. I said if he's, I was expecting him to start a lap longer or two maybe at a push. But any advantage he'd have gained by being on fresher tyres is completely gone. He must just be hoping for a safety car now.
That is exactly what he's doing, and he's caused being a massive roadblock, and he's pulled out the way. So I suppose fair play to Viper there. But he's done the job of holding them up and maybe causing them more tyre wear.
And not giving Shadow DRS, but everybody behind will. And we saw what happened with Harvey when that happened.
This is huge. Colenso also has nearly caught up with all this. Will, Harvey and Alfie attack. Harvey does not. Oh, he looks like it. He's stuck his nose half up the inside there to have a little sniff. But Shadow then is in a little bit of a danger here.
I don't know. I think Alfie decided not to go for that move there. But if he did, Harvey was absolutely keen to try to get that. So, if you're Alfie, are you thinking, try to put a car between yourself and Shadow, even if it is a pretty short-term move. Push him out wide a little bit, get your elbows out and let Harvey dive down the inside. It's a tricky one. But Alfie decided again, and I think we're going to, well, unless he wants to go for the move or Shadow makes a mistake, we could see a repeat of what we saw just before the pit window. Everybody just happy to wait until we get right near the end and everyone goes all out. And we've seen some pretty chaotic scenes in other leagues as well at this track when that happens.
Tier 2, for example, Season 11, coming into Ravaza here, just where these four are now, we saw 3 wide. I'm starting to wonder that it's going to happen again. Chandler picks up a 3-second penalty down in 15th
He's had a few of those,
place. So he's had a few. Alfie then getting close to Shadow again, but is Alfie playing the same game as Shadow?
DRS. There you go. Oh, this is going to be good. It's all going to come down to the last lap, isn't it? Yeah, it absolutely is. This is going to be a good end to this race. Absolutely. Do hang around because, this is absolutely going down to the last lap of the race, and it is going to be absolutely brilliant. And I couldn't say which one's going to come out on top. You'd say Alfie's in a great place, but Shadow's got that track position at the moment.
Now, there is one similarity between the title battle between the two early protagonists, I would say. Obviously, this season is Shadow and Alfie, but last season it was Ronha and Shadow. The one similarity is the Red Bull car. I wonder if that's an indication. Shadow currently leading the way and having a bit of luck at the moment. Obviously, Viper was not his luck, but Viper's outside of the top 10 now, down in 11th place, 6 seconds behind the Red Bull of Zeox or Zoax. He could very well.
I'm not sure. I've never known what to say with him.
call him Z. But yeah, he could very well still get himself some, into, okay, it'll be P9, but it'll be some points nonetheless. And if these tyres do really crash for these early guys, your prediction could still be right.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see. I think Harvey's definitely in trouble come the end of this race, as is Clenzo. Well, actually, Clenzo's not going to be in massive trouble because he has a decent gap. Obviously, that 5-second tyre penalty not going to help him. We're talking purely track position here. He'll be okay because he's got a decent gap to Wilson, who's on the same age tyres. But Connor and Buraps should be quicker right at the end. So that'll be an interesting one. They're definitely going to close in, especially, I think Wilson's in the most trouble. He's on that lap older tyres. They're going to be really struggling come the end of this race, and Connor and Buraps, they just simply have an extra lap.
It's the Ferrari getting past Mel back into turn 1, so those two are having a good old battle. They had a good old battle last season in Tier 2, and they've taken it to Tier 1 this time round. Shadow holding station at the moment, but the ERS situation has swapped. Obviously, Shadow using more than Alfie this time. Alfie 0.6 of a second behind Shadow and not really pushing too much, but Harvey struggling with his ERS in third there, so that could be crucial as well.
Yeah, he's been struggling all race at ERS. I haven't seen him above 20% at any point in the last 20 laps, so yeah, he's really struggling. Cool, wow, okay, that might have been lag, I'm not entirely, oh no, there was genuinely a bit of argy-bargy going on there. I've just said that in the commentary box, I hate myself. Perhaps spinning around in the battle with Wilson and Connor. That was pretty erratic as they dived down into turn 1. Nearly got 3 wide, cars darting each way. There might have been a little bit of contact as well with desync, so that all got really messy.
That is, I managed to catch the end coming into turn 2, and that is not what the McLaren driver would have wanted at all. And now he's 7 seconds behind that battle for P6, and could cost him a little bit as well. But Harvey dropping out as well now. Harvey is in, like we said, major trouble of a P3 finish.
Yeah, potentially at the moment. If Findy, I'm absolutely giving it a go. And are we going to see Harvey diving into that DRS range? No, we are not. He is going to be in trouble here. Findy, going to reclaim that P3 that he had fought so hard for and had done very well to maintain. And I think this podium at the moment, I don't want to jinx it, could very much be his, because there should be a simple one to the right-hand side. He does go. And then, yeah, this is going to be more than simple. You're on the racing line, coming under braking. And that is absolutely brilliant stuff. Chandler saying the fastest lap of the race, so at least he's adding something to this race, I suppose. He's not had a good one at all at the moment, putting on a fresh set of soft.
Connor and Wilson, the WR2 lads in P6 and 7th, battling away at the moment. I wonder how much battling they'll do, because Wilson has no penalty to his name, but Connor does. We'll go back on board.
ERS update as well. We have 56% on Shadow and 98 on Alfie. So there you go. That's Alfie going to try to drain as much of Shadow's battery as possible to make the move on the last lap as easy as he can. Whether that'll work or not, we'll have to wait and see. Findy could get within DRS here. He's using his ERS. He absolutely is. Findy is on the back of this queue, and importantly, Harvey, he's lost DRS as well. So Findy he's going to close, surely, because Alfie's not going to do the move yet. I mean, he's going to turn off his DRS, and Findy could end up joining this battle come the end of the race. This could be a fun one.
I think Harvey just about snicked in it. His DRS is open.
Oh, no way, yeah.
3 seconds behind. Clenzo then could be Harvey's next battle, but penalties will be, and Chandler setting...
Chandler out.
In the pit
Fastest lap and dipping. I respect that. Off he goes.
Lap 29 or 32 then. The front three starting to pull away. 1.5 seconds between them and Harvey and P4, who led a part of the race for a little while, the Ferrari driver. So he is going to get some good points. Currently in P4. Findy managing to find something. He's got some pace. He's really going for it, and that's a really good position he's found himself in, because he's now trying to catch these front three. Front two, sorry. Either of those two make a mistake, and he's got some big points coming his way.
Yeah, he absolutely does. It's going to be a good one, this as well. It'll be interesting to see if Wilson's going to be able to hold on, though, because Connor's going to Yeah, Connor's a really good strike. Actually, but Connor has that penalty, of course, as well, where Wilson does not. So Wilson might actually be able to hold on to P6 here, which is a really decent sum of points. Yeah, this will be interesting. Oh, Placky as well on those 16-lap-old medium tyres. I tell you what, this won't be a fun end to the race for him. I can see Oxstairs, probably definitely Viper, I'd imagine as well, considering how young those soft tyres are. Absolutely giving it to him.
WR Alfie waiting. He gets so close to the back of Shadow at Ferrante Villeneuve, but not enough. Oh, and that was a hold up. Was that? Oh, goodness me. That could be crucial. I don't know if you caught that, but at the hairpin of 7, I'm re-watching it because there was nearly contact between the front two, and I don't think either of them wanted to take the lead coming through 7.
DRS. There you go. We're going to see that a little bit later on. I think that's what happened very recently in an Imola race as well. So, that's going to start creeping in now, isn't it? This could get a little bit messy, but obviously they can't just slow down and stop because Findyum's just going to fly past. So, this is going to be fun.
Now entering lap 30. Entering lap 31. What does Alfie do here? But at the moment, if it finishes like this, it's exactly the same podium as round 1 Belgium. Alfie going to try and attack. No, he stays behind. That's what we're expecting until the final lap. Your prediction is whoever leads turn 1 at lap 32 is going to take victory. I'm fully behind you on that, but look at this. Let's go aboard with Findyum as these two ahead are battling away. No such antics than the lap before.
Yeah. Watch out for DRS detection this lap, though. That's where it's going to get important. But Shadow's already played that card. I think Alfie's going to be expecting it now. And Findyum's going, yeah, guys, please do that again. I'm just going to swing it round the inside and just go for it.
They've started to stretch their legs. Look at Findyum. He's 1.1 seconds behind. Yeah. He's got a lot of work to do as the Alpine driver. 3-second time penalty for Burraps. Oh, what?
Yeah, Shadow just basically... look, to an extent, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some talk about this, especially at this track in leagues, because it's something that's repeating quite a lot, and you don't want to see it. But let's see what happens now. Shadow slowing right down, Findyum going to take the contact between the two leaders. Findyum coming up, and that was nothing more than a brake check. Surely that you cannot brake when a car is behind you, even if you're slowing down. Oh, wow. And Findyum could win this race now. Findyum, he's got the DRS. He's the one who's come out on top. He's going to try to make the move on Shadow round the outside into turn 1. He cannot hang it on the outside. And Shadow, I don't know here because they were both at it. They both slowed down. But Shadow, ultimately, for Alfie to hit him, it must have broken more. And you've got a Hamilton-Verstappen situation there.
5-second penalty for Burraps for speeding in the pit lane. And
oh, wow.
Alfie's really struggling back there. We'll have to let the stewards decide this one. Findyum is still trying to attack Shadow as he comes through turn 9 there, but he's just dropping off. Shadow's got the overall pace advantage. Harvey's in 3rd place, and Alfie picks up a penalty in P5 as well, we've mentioned, but that is not what he would have wanted at all. And Alfie now down to P5. Shadow is going to take victory, probably.
He's not keeping that. No
controversial controversial, but that is definitely one for the steward. He's going to cross the line in first. Findyum is going to come home in 2nd place. The Alpine driver's gone one better than he did last time, but currently there's going to be a lot of talk about this man, but it's Shadow that takes victory. Findyum in 2nd. Harvey's going to cross the line and finish on the podium. Colenso in 4th there. Wilson's going to cross the line actually in 4th from Colenso, from Alfie, from Connor, and the other Red Bull driver quite a distance away. But what? It just blew up in the end there, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you could see it coming. It was always going to happen. Both of them wanted to be behind going into the DRS zone, and I'm afraid, that's the thing you're risking when that happens. If you're the car in front, you have a responsibility not to block, and but equally, Alfie was playing the same game, but I think ultimately the remit there is on the car in front with the car behind. So I think for Findyum, that's very likely going to end up being his win, but I don't want to be a judge, jury and executioner there. But it was always going to happen. You could see it happening. And Findy, you know, he went very early to the outside, and I think he knew it was going to happen as well. So he played that very well to avoid contact, because that very easily could have been 3 cars involved.
Yeah. Wow. And I thought at that point, we saw Findy go for the attack, but wow. What an end to the race.
Controversial to say the least. Yeah.
We've had our controversy here in WOR last season as well between Shadow and Ronha, but this time it's Shadow and Alfie. Alfie doing an absolute crazy race, and takes victory for the time being. Stewards are going to love this one, I am sure. Findy, I'm in second place there. Harvey in third, fourth going to Wilson, Clenzo in fifth, Alfie in sixth, Connor in seventh, eighth going to Placky, Viper in ninth, and Zotes for now is 10th. 11th is Bobbits, Moritz in 12th, 13th to Mel, 14th to Burraps, and that rounds out your finishes. 6 drivers didn't finish. That was Chandler, Got to Go Fast, WR Matthew, WR Agonized, Choco, and Dark Killer, all having races to forget, really. I will. We'll wait to see if anyone wants to come into the waiting room here in the Discord chat. But I am going to hazard a guess that no one wants to.
No, I think that's going to be because I think Shadow will know he's probably in trouble for that. Findy, I'm probably elated, to be fair. And I imagine Harvey is as well. But yeah, that's a rough one, isn't it? That is. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing for me, though. Like, you know, it's going to happen. Alfie is going to be so annoyed by that because he's thinking, yeah, you know what? I'll stay right behind him. No chance of getting caught out unless he breaks. And I don't know if that has happened. I can. Well, it's a brake check at the end of the day. Whether you meant it or not, you know, if you've deliberately gone onto the brakes car behind you, that's yeah, I don't think the steward's going to look too fondly on that one. So yeah, everyone keep an eye out for that. I assume that'll be announced on the Twitter and all.
Well, taking that aside, we did have some really, really cracking driving, some interesting stuff.
Really?
Obviously, we've seen both Shadow and Alfie play some games that's you know, with each other, mind games, and maybe that's what's got into their head at the end. It was hugely unlucky, and it was always going to come down to this. But yeah, I mean, qualifying. What a I hate to go back to qualifying, but what a qualifying we've had. And
it was.
You know, something that we've not really seen before. Usually we have breaks in qualifying, but we didn't this time around, did we?
No, absolutely not, and that's the biggest joy of a wet qualifying session. Everyone is just out there circulating time and time again, just improving, and you can end up with any order. You know, we saw Dark, who you'd normally put money on to have a pretty decent qualifying. You know, he tried to take the gamble on the intermediates. The wets just weren't working for him at all, and it led to someone who he thought could have a brilliant race. You know, an absolutely brilliant driver, absolutely by rights deserves to be up there. But you know, that's just the magic of a wet session. Anything can go wrong, and it normally does.
Wow. To be honest, I'm lost for words this week. These guys have put in some crazy stuff. And interestingly, you know, looking down the timings, you know, Chandler had the best lap. Obviously, he did it towards the end on those fresher softs. But, you know, he was at least a second quicker than anyone else. You look at it, I mean, if he was as quick as the guys at the stuff.
Yeah, and simply the issue was staying out too long. You know, it just lost too much time in the process of that. But yeah, it's interesting, as was much of that race.
Yeah, definitely leaving that to the stewards. I would not like to be on the stewards' side at all. But Beacon, before I spiel at the end, any final words from you, my friend?
No, apart from the normal, thank you to everyone for watching, and thank you again to all of the drivers for putting on a brilliant show tonight.
Yeah, there's no one in the waiting room for us, and are we really surprised? This has been one hell of a race, and we are back next week for the Russian Grand Prix, where I'm sure more fireworks are going to happen. But from both of us, for now, please watch all the Twitter and catch up with all the action throughout the week, because there is racing all the time here at WOR. And then, obviously, we'd love you to be back for next week. But for now, we'll catch you in the next one.